Pricing products can be tricky. If you price them too high, they won't sell. Too low, and you're leaving money on the table. So how do you find the sweet spot? I have a few tips to help you out, plus a simple formula I call the rule of 3 that will help you find your ideal price point, which is one that is guaranteed to leave money in your pocket. Let's dive in. Hey there, I'm Heather Harris, founder of Copper Bottom Design Co., a boutique product development agency that specializes in planner design and overseas manufacturing. Every single one of the clients I work with inside my agency has asked me this same question: how much should I sell my planner for? And what I tell them applies to planner sales, but also universally pretty much any product you're going to make. So if you don't specifically make planners, make sure you stick around because these tips are going to help you too. First things first, do your market research. You need to know what the common price is of the certain thing, we're going to talk about planners today, sells for. So if you specifically have a goal setting planner, you want to look at other goal setting planners on the market. If you're looking for develop a student planner, you want to look at other student planners. Same thing if it's undated, dated, how many pages it has, the construction of the planner. All of these things are going to factor in to what you're doing your market research on. You only want to research something that is almost exactly similar. Does that even make sense? You want to research things that are pretty much the same as the product that you're prepared to put on the market. Only look for like items. You want to look at brands that you aspire to be. Maybe their customers are a little level up in the budget wise than your ideal audience. You also want to look at companies that sell at a price point that's a little bit lower than your target audience, so you can find that happy medium. Look everywhere, not just on Amazon. Amazon tends to have very competitive pricing. You also want to look at individual websites of businesses like yours because those prices tend to be a little bit higher. You want to cast the net wide to try and find the highest priced planner within your specific niche to the lowest price planner within that niche. And you want to find something maybe in the middle of that. Maybe it's the high end, maybe it's the low end. We'll get into that in a second. And kind of come up with an average and write those down, who the company is, and really try and hone in on what company is most similar to you. And that will help you find a target price that's working in the market. It's successful. People are buying planners at that price point. That's probably a good one to match. You also want to factor in some other things, which would be the budget of your ideal client. If your customer is a professional, a working executive working for a Fortune 500 company, your target price can be on the higher end because they probably have a lot of money in their pocket. And that would be opposed to maybe a student planner where students are always broke, right? So you can't really price your planner too high if you're marketing towards a student who has a budget in mind. So when doing that research, you definitely want to keep that in mind in the market research, who the target customer is of those companies that you're researching, and that will kind of help guide you on whether or not their pricing might be on the high end or low end within that wide net that you just cast. The last thing I want to talk about is your expenses. As a business owner, you really want to factor in those expenses as maybe almost one of the most important things when considering how much to sell your product for. I think a lot of people make a mistake in this area. Out there in the retail world, there's this thing called keystone pricing. And keystone pricing is usually used for retailers and people who are selling wholesale to those retailers. If you're looking to sell wholesale, then that's maybe a different topic. But I think the theory trickles down of the whole doubling your manufacturing cost, and that is to determine your sales price. And I think that's a flawed philosophy in a lot of ways. You don't want to just double your price because you're going to be leaving no room to put any money in your pocket. So I like to operate on the rule of 3, which means your retail price, what you're selling your product for, needs to break down into 3 different buckets. There's going to be the manufacturing cost bucket, which is how much you're paying the manufacturer to produce your product. There's going to be the reprint bucket, which is future print runs. You're either going to reprint what you've sold because it sold like hotcakes and you need more, or you're going to come up with a new product idea. Basically, this bucket is the continuing to do business bucket. We're just going to call it reprints for ease of conversation right now. The third bucket is your pocket, your profit. how you pay yourself as a business owner. So these three buckets are what you need to consider when determining your price, your unit price that you're going to sell your product for. So if it costs $15 to manufacture your product, you're probably going to want to sell it for around $45 if that's what the market can bear. If that number fits into what you've done your research for, then you've hit the nail on the head. Because out of that $45 that you're going to sell your planner for, $15 goes to pay for the print run, your first ever manufacturing run of that product. $15 goes to reprint it because in theory, you're going to want to continue doing business and you're going to need to pay for future print runs. So that's another $15. And then the third set of $15 goes into your pocket to pay yourself as a business owner, to pay the expenses. Do you have office space, your internet, the design software you use on your computer? All of those expenses are going to come out of that third bucket. So you see, if you merely just doubled your manufacturing costs, you would be leaving money out to pay yourself with. And that's not a sustainable way to grow as a business owner, to never pay yourself and always constantly be working to pay for what you've printed and the next print run. So when pricing, think in the rule of three. So I just painted the picture of an ideal scenario, right? All the numbers broke up evenly. The $45 was evenly distributed into your three buckets. Well, that's not always going to be the case. Especially when you're first starting out. You might only be able to afford to print a small print run, which would in turn then cost a lot more money. Now, if you're looking to learn more about production costs and how it relates to the quantity that you're printing, check out my latest video on production costs, and that'll explain everything to you. In the beginning, you might not always get a great unit price when you're manufacturing products, and that's okay. What you want to do is still price your product to what your market research guides you to. The rule of three might not always work out perfectly in the very beginning. You'll have to sacrifice something, and the sacrifice usually falls into the profit in your pocket. If your manufacturing price is $20 or $25, do not go and multiply that by 3 and consider that the price you're going to sell your product for, because nobody's going to buy it. It's going to be priced too high. It's going to be priced out of the market, and you're doing yourself a disservice. Keep in mind that this will change over time, and you may even get to a point in time where your unit cost goes down below the $15 and even more profit goes in your pocket. And that's ideal. That's how you grow. That's how you get money to add more products to your product line. So this rule of three is a great guideline to live by and to price by, but it cannot be your end all be all and may not work out perfectly in the very beginning. I just want to throw that out there. I have a lot of clients that try and do the rule of three in the very beginning, but then they're pricing their planner at like $75 or over $100, and that's just not realistic. That market research, the thing you do in the very beginning, is what is your end goal, and then you come back and you try and maybe negotiate with your manufacturer for better pricing. You find another manufacturer, you come up with ideas on how to make the product a little less expensive in manufacturing, and that is when people come to me, because printing in the United States is usually a lot more expensive than printing in China, and in China you definitely get lower unit costs, which will help you put more money in your pocket in the end. So hopefully all of this made sense. I think the thing to take away is that always price what the market can bear, what the budget of the customer is, and then think about yourself and how much money can go into your pocket and try and maximize everything you can to make everybody happy, you as the business owner and your customers, because it'll keep them coming back. So if you're interested in learning about how manufacturing in China can help you with your unit costs and putting a little bit of extra cash in your pocket, click the link in my description. That'll take you to my agency services, and you can learn all about how we can help you move forward and build a profitable and sustainable business. See you next time.